You're listening to Inside Content, the TV industry podcast. This show is brought to you by 3Vision, a global TV industry consultancy specialising in content acquisition, strategy, research and business development. Each episode, we give you VIP access to the views and experiences of senior TV executives and discuss the latest TV industry trends and insights.
Hello and welcome to Inside Content. On today's episode, I'm thrilled to be joined by two special guests from Pluto TV. Olivier Jolet, Executive Vice President and International General Manager, and Katrina Kowalski, Senior Vice President of International Content Programming and Acquisitions. We'll be diving into the shifting dynamics of the FAST and AVOD market, exploring how Pluto TV is establishing itself as a key player in this rapidly growing space. We'll discuss the factors behind their success, their approach to content strategy and expansion, their collaboration with the broader Paramount business, and their insights on future innovations, including the role of AI.
Hi, Kat. Hi, Olivier.
Hi, Jack.
Hi, Jack.
How are you doing today?
Great. So happy to be here. Thanks for having us.
Oh, that's quite all right.
Doing very well.
Excellent. So obviously, when we're having, at the moment within the industry, we have a lot of conversation happening around FAST, as we might expect. And so it's fantastic to get some representatives of Pluto on to be able to talk more about what's going on in this particular sector of the industry that has a lot of hype around it. So before we dive directly in, maybe it'd be useful for both of you to give a quick overview of your roles at Pluto and Paramount.
Sure. I'll start. So I'm Olivier Jolet. I'm the Executive Vice President and International General Manager of Pluto TV. So my job basically is to run the Pluto TV business around the world, outside of the US, so which is today more than 35 countries.
Perfect. And I'm Kat. I am SVP for Program Strategy and Acquisition for Pluto TV International. I report to Olivier, and super happy to be here.
Excellent. So as I was saying, FAST has got a lot of attention on it at the moment, and Pluto's clearly one of the key players in this space. I'm curious, obviously, a lot of people will talk about the US market for FAST, so I'm very curious to have both of you on for your thoughts. What markets are you seeing outside the US that has that sort of biggest growth right now?
Well, I'll start to maybe with a little bit of a flashback where, if you go back in the history of Pluto TV, we launched actually Pluto TV 10 years ago. We just celebrated our 10 years anniversary. And there is a funny story because we launched on April Fool's Day in 2014, and obviously people thought we were fools, and we brought a product which was pretty contrarian, investing in free streaming, in ad-supported streaming. Sounds pretty obvious today when we talk about it, especially ad-supported streaming, but 10 years ago, no one was really a big believer that there will be a market for that. And we were convinced that creating a video into a lean-back experience was appealing at a time where the conception was shifting from TV to the internet. And clearly, when you have a look at where we are now, like the small startup, which started 10 years ago, has been acquired by Paramount in 2019, is now, since 2020, over $1 billion ad revenue company. We launched in 35 markets. But I think the one thing which amazed me is, I've been with the company now for almost 9 years. And when we started, we had in a way the gut feeling that the FAST could be a global business. But it's been built in the US where the TV market is slightly different. It's a quite expensive paid TV market. It's not a high quality free TV offering, I would say. And there was already a little bit this cord-cutting movement happening. And obviously, we were surfing on that wave. But if you compare it to the other territories, and the first territories we launched were the UK and GSA, two really big free TV markets, there was a question mark. Will FAST work? Will the people be attracted by a lean-back streaming product? And what we realized quite quickly in the early stage of our international rollout is that the usage, the watching behavior were pretty similar to the one we were seeing in the US. Very long session duration, strong engagement. And that's why we started to roll out in more and more countries, with obviously a strategy of going in first market where you have like a big, usually ad sales potential, because a lot of the fast opportunities are linked to obviously the size of the advertising market, but also sometimes in market where we know that the free offering is very appealing. If you think about LATAM, where obviously the whole media landscape is slightly different, offering a premium free streaming product is super appealing. So that's been a little bit that. We had some surprise. I would say Canada has been, and I'm sure Kat, being based in Canada, will talk about that. It's been probably one of our best market in terms of launch with an immediate adoption. So I think it's every market has its own characteristic. But I would pick maybe one market among all the markets we launch. Canada is maybe the one which surprised the most in terms of how quick the adoption has been happening. But maybe, Kat, you want to talk a bit more about Canada?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I would say, from an overall success, I think we've found success in all of our markets, but the Canadian story is relative, it's remarkable. We launched in December 2022 with 117 channels, and it was the largest Pluto TV launch in any territory to date, which was really, really exciting. And we did that in partnership with Chorus. And we grew that business within a year. We had added 50 channels. Now looking back at almost, 2 years ago, we have added more than 100 channels to the service. So, we are seeing the, immediate adoption. We had an incredible marketing campaign. When we launched, we had terrific local content that continues to perform well. We had some of the, most incredible IP from the Paramount Vault as well. And so, we sort of looked at this perfect storm, and not to mention that we did launch in the winter where, us Canadians are all frozen and inside watching TV. But, look, the economy, is not what it was. So something that is free with really, really quality content to watch was, immediately appealing in Canada. We're really, really proud. After a year, we were pacing to be about 1 billion total viewing minutes a month. And, I'm really proud to say we're still pacing at that, even a little higher, actually. So it's a tremendous success story. We're really proud of it.
That's really exciting. I'm curious on the Canadian side of things, how it went acquiring local content for that service. Obviously, I know the regulations of playing catch up somewhat to more recent streaming services, but obviously the sort of mandates there to make sure that there's a fair amount of Canadian content on your service, and that's an area that can be quite troubling for local Canadian producers sometimes, is their content getting drowned out by US acquisitions. So were there particular producers that you went to? Did you see a lot of hunger from producers to get onto your platform?
Yeah, I mean, we were really lucky with our partnership with Chorus, because, it was really a 3-pronged 360 deal. We had a marketing component, we had an ad sales component, we had a content component. And so, we launched with 13 news channels. So we had 1 national news channel and then 12 local news channels. We got to have, incredible, food and home content that comes from Chorus Studios, which was terrific. So even just from the get-go, we had that. We just announced a partnership with CBC where we are going to bring on 4 of their news fast channels to the service as well later this quarter. We have other local content that comes to us. But, we were, again, really just fortunate because Chorus has such a great suite of Canadian content that we were able to launch with.
That's brilliant. So with such a strong launch, is it an area now you're seeing more and more people kind of knock on your door rather than the other way around?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think Pluto TV in general is a bona fide success story worldwide, and we go to great lengths to make something a success. we love the idea of partnership. And this isn't, I'm not just talking about Canada, it's really every market where, we take really, care to promote things, to, join forces with our partners to create buzz in the press, to drive discoverability. We're very careful about how we curate content, and our content editors on the ground in all the markets, take that content and really try to make it sing. And they're looking at the data all the time so that they know what the consumption is. So, the idea that, we really want to, make our content successful, that is, all about the partnerships that we have and the great care that we take to make things successful.
On that point about curation, I'm curious, just when you look at the growth of a lot of FAST platforms, not just your own, for those early stages of their life cycle, obviously a big part of that was ingest as many channels as possible, lots of different FAST platforms potentially claiming to have this many hundred versus this many hundred, or some getting into the potential thousands. Do you find now you're in a much more established place that the curation is all the more important, that quality over quantity starts to become much more important, and you're more willing to potentially discontinue some channels on your platform if you think it's not conducive to the overall quality?
Yeah, I just going to start with a few stories, and then I'll hand over to Kat. But I think it's true that when we started, obviously, even in the US, we started by creating YouTube video. We're not licensing content, and like step by step, we started to license content. First at the beginning was digital first content, but it was because the studio were not keen in licensing content to us. And I think we did our way, and step by step we convinced the players. Probably at the beginning when we were running at the MIPCOM trying to acquire content, it was not easy. People were closing the doors. Like, what is FAST? We never heard about that. Free streaming. We don't have any rights for that. And I think what it became now like an industry category. It became as well like a category as a content right. So when everyone has like even a department focusing on FAST at the big studios and so on. And I think we managed to convince a lot of the big players to do their first step in the FAST business with us. I'm thinking about the BBC studio. We were the first partner, and since then they've been on board and one of our best partner. I think that's great. But the one thing which changed a lot, I think, in the last few years, and probably I would say even in the last 2 years, is that at the beginning, you're 100% right. There was a little bit this run after the number of channels and trying to launch with what you can get. But now the industry is realizing, wow, there's a lot of money to be done with that, with the FAT business. It is now expected to be a 12 billion ad business globally by 2027. So that changed a lot the perspective from the license, from the content owners. So we start having really on Pluto TV amazing IPs, amazing channels, and even now live sports coming to Pluto TV, which is in a way surprising. Live sport was probably the game of the broadcasters. A lot of that was even beyond the paywall. And now we start having, all the major dots tournament being available on our exclusive DAZN channels in Germany, for example. So I think there is an evolution, which is obviously going to more quality. But the one thing which is important is the point that you touched base is curation. That's where I'm going to hand over to Kat, because that's where we at Pluto spend a lot of time trying to make the best, create stories for our users. But Kat, you want to talk about what you do the whole day with your team?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so I think, just again, another shout out to the, incredible content team, and specifically the content editors, who are really the heart and soul of our content operation, right? These are people who are absolute content fans. They know things about movies and TV series, and their depth of knowledge and passion is just so, it's inspiring. And so, they love content, and they know what they're doing, and they know what, just culturally the audience wants and loves, but they're also so deep into the data and the analysis that we talk a lot about this blend of art and science at Pluto TV, because you have the cultural aspect where you're embedding teams in all of the local markets to really understand what's important. But then you've got the data side, which allows us to, take the consumption data and really understand what people like. And just, going back to your question about, do we edit channels? Of course, but edit doesn't necessarily mean cull. Sometimes it does mean that, but oftentimes it's how do you curate a channel? So like a Pluto TV comedy channel, what comedies do you put there? What shows do you put back to back? If you want to try something new, what happens? If something's really exploding, maybe you take that specific show out and you create a single series channel that's just dedicated to that show. That's a great example of how we edit. Defining our categories, making channels really easy to use. That's another thing that we do to really drive discoverability. So again, taking something and putting it in a category where it really belongs and where people can discover it. That's another great example of how we edit. And yes, I mean, without a doubt, we need to sometimes take channels off, and that could be because maybe it's not available anymore. Maybe it isn't performing as much as we would like. But we go into every partnership knowing that we want to try to make it a success, and we'll do what we can from a curation standpoint, from a marketing standpoint, to do just that.
And the two things I would add is that, what we are monitoring carefully on our platform is the frequency and the watch time per users. If we keep seeing that growing, that means there is a potential. If that starts to go down, that's where we're going to ask ourselves, what do we change? Do we change the programming concept? Do we add new shows? Or maybe at the end, we kill the channels, which is part of the job. And that's the beauty of the FAST business. It is a flexible business. We launch, we kill channels all the time to really match the audience, match the test. And a channel is not there forever. Some of them are there forever because like a Pluto TV movie is one of our flagship channels, but some of them have been disappearing. Some of them may come back. So I think that's a very important part of the business to bring that to the users.
Okay. So interesting in terms of talking about the user behavior and how they watch. Olivia, you were talking about the sort of more recent addition of live sports, which is very exciting. But obviously with that comes the reintroduction of sort of appointment viewing. If you want to watch this game live, you need to watch it at this time, which is a type of viewing that people don't necessarily associate with FAST in terms of what we've seen so far. Is that something you're trying to foster more within an audience? Are you sort of trying to have a kind of prime time for scripted as well, for some of your bigger debuts of certain titles that might come onto the platform?
Well, I think the one thing I would say is one thing that we can't change, which is the day is 24 hours, and the free time of the users is usually at certain time of the day because some people are working at certain hours of the day. So in a way, we usually have our strongest content already more scaled towards the prime time. Even if we see some of users watching a bit later than the normal, like I would say, TV prime time. And when it comes to sports, you're 100% right. We go back to a kind of appointment viewing. But that is exactly what is exciting. We know we launched recently like a couple of initiatives. First, I mentioned the darts event that we have in Germany. We also in Germany announced the first ever 24/7 free handball channel, very popular sport in Germany, the second most popular after football. We just launched like a new event in Denmark, which is under the claim Saturday Fight Fever, which is every Saturday night you're gonna have like a major boxing event or fighting event. Could be boxing, could be the MMA. So yes, we go into the appointment viewing. as a way to attract users. But our ultimate goal is also to bring the users to discover more and discover all the great content we have on the platform. And that's where we try to understand the users. What could they watch? Like users may like this kind of content, and we're gonna help them discover something else. And maybe the on-ball fans or the fighting fans are a completely different target group, and we'll try to really package the over content around to make them discover something else than the pure live sport. So yes, there's a live component, but there's also a great way for us to help them discover the service.
And I mean, just talking about the packaging around live sports, Olivier, like this could be a really cool time to talk about our brand new initiative.
Exactly, because just announced actually just a few hours ago, like a global partnership with Borussia Dortmund, one of the top 10 team in the world, the recent finalists of the last Champions League. And we're gonna launch together with them the official Borussia Dortmund FAST channels, which I think is really appealing, because in that case, it's not about the live game, because the live game will be obviously behind the paywall and so on. But we're gonna create stories. We want to be the companions of the fans, bringing stories about the team, about the players, and so on. So really, that's something which is complementary to the live viewing. And that's something that we just announced. That's also like a marketing partnership, because our logo will be also on the jersey, on the sleeve, for the first Champions League tonight, and also for the German Cup and the FIFA World Cup of the Clubs, which is happening next year in the US.
That's really, really exciting. Obviously, it's an opportunity to turn a FAST channel into something that can actually foster a community around it as well. Tapping into fandom seems like a sort of no-brainer in many ways there.
I mean, we should talk about that, because fandom is really probably the word that we use the most in our meetings. That's what we're trying to do. We also try to entertain users which are sometimes underserved by the traditional TV offering. We had some great example, for example, around Western. So Western is a genre which is quite interesting. Used to be like one of the most popular primetime genre, like maybe 15 years ago. The audience did not disappear. They still want to find their content, watch this amazing Western and so on. And we created like several Western channels, and they are driving so much engagement. And also what we do, for example, around anime is also, maybe Kat, you want to talk about what we've been doing, because that's also like a really perfect example of what fandom could be and how FAST can serve an audience which is passionate about a genre.
Yeah, I mean, we were lucky enough to acquire One Piece in France. This is just an example of what we're doing with anime. And it just took off. There was an audience that was clearly just, wanting that content, consuming the content. We're about to launch a new season of it. We found similar results in Brazil and Latam with things like Naruto, really engaged fan base. And, it's not just about the content. I think it's like a cultural phenomenon, anime and Japanese manga and things. And so, that is something that, it's a perfect example of niche, and it's a great, it's one of the things that makes Pluto TV really exciting, because we have a lot of agility to make these choices. We can test and try. And when you do test something and it takes off like that, there's nothing more satisfying, because you're like, we found people, we know that they're here for it. And we're so glad, because, the thing that differentiates FAST a little bit from a traditional broadcaster is, we do have that agility. We can try smaller things, and we're not necessarily focused on, big originals, or, more expensive acquisitions. So, we're seeing, things like anime, even paranormal in the UK is really taking off and will be the centerpiece of our Halloween strategy. This October, we actually just launched on the 13th because it was Friday the 13th. But, these are really exciting things, and it makes fans feel seen, I think.
That's really exciting. And obviously, One Piece, you have hundreds and hundreds of episodes there. So more than enough to fill a FAST channel for several years, hopefully. On that, kind of thinking about obviously bringing more people into the platform, whether it's through sports or through fandom, traditional ways for your streamers nowadays in terms of trying to convert people onto their platforms tends to be originals or brand new shows, first window scripted appointment viewing, as we might say, for this brand new show that's coming onto a platform. Is there a plan in the future? I know there's been some experiment in the past. Certain markets, you took Star Trek Discovery, for instance, in those sort of later seasons in its first window. Have you done much experiment in those kind of, here's a debut of a brand new show, and has that worked out? Has that given you a lot of conversion to the platform?
I think I just want to attack it maybe a little bit differently. So, when we talk about originals, we're actually in that space now, right? We talked about sports. Certainly that's live and original. We talked about news, also original. The thing we haven't really touched on is exclusivity. And so, we just launched season 16 of Paradise Hotel in Sweden. That's a co-exclusive with Viaplay, but exclusivity is new. We're the only place for them to watch. And then, the other thing I will say is, in a world where there is, so much more than ever before content being produced, and incredible content. You just look at the suite, whether it's a broadcaster or a streamer, there's great content out there. No one could have possibly seen it all. It's like virtually impossible, even if you watch TV all day and all night. And so, what I think it's important to say about FAST is that if it's new to you, it's new, it's original. And I think that, our audience sees it that way too. They discover something, and maybe they're watching it nostalgia. They grew up watching Gunsmoke. Okay. It's very possible that they're watching, something like Medium for the first time. So just throwing it out a different perspective. I don't know if Olivier, if you want to add anything.
Well, yeah, the one thing I would add is that obviously there's a lot of, because we are in the streaming world, and a lot of topics around originals, and we know it's obviously the business of on the more on the subscription side, but I'm a big defender of like catalog and the amazing library content, because you can obviously it's amazing what is available on all the big streamers, on broadcast and so on. But we should not forget that people love to watch what has been what we call library. Library could be only 2 years old or 1 year old to maybe 20 years old. If you have a look at the conception and the top shows on the streamers, you will see that you see a lot of shows like Friends and Lost. They're still there on the top 10, and they've been there for 5-10 years, for example, in the top 10. So it's not like that the people don't want to watch those kind of shows. They love and to watch and rewatch and so on. And I think that's what is also important. That creates also new line of revenues for the studios. So I think that we don't see the need to go into this original business in Pluto TV. We always try to bring the best content possible. And when we have opportunities such as live sports or via our partners, the big partnership we've been doing with some broadcasters such as Chorus or Viaplay, we're able to bring exclusive content. But the content which is available on the platform is just an amazing premium offering. And you're just going to need to watch a few ads in order to watch it for free. But that's, I think, that's a fabulous offering. And we see that from the watching behavior we're seeing, those nostalgia content, from Beverly Hills to Melrose Place, MacGyver, and so on, are extremely popular. And they're really talking to people who are rewatching something that they may have watched once or twice, or as Kat was saying, maybe people are discovering that for the first time and say, oh, I never watch it. Let's watch it.
That's really exciting perspective. I think when we saw the studio streamers first launch, a lot of them set up a big walled garden, not just for their new content, but the library content as well. To be like, if you want to watch this old show, the only place is here. Obviously, that those walls have started to crumble a bit, as I think it's really important for people to continuously discover their old content, and that's what gives it a new breath of life. If something like Lost is stuck behind one particular platform forever, it's not going to necessarily get discovered unless by those who are sort of most into it, or most diehard fans. Whereas things that like Pluto give that opportunity for those shows to get that new lease of life and find that new audience. So I think that's a really fascinating approach, and I'm assuming something very appreciated by the content owners that are licensing content to you.
Oh, I think that we work like we see our partners like that. That's really a partnership. It's not like a one-sided relationship. We are talking to them about what works, and then have a discussion on what kind of hidden gems we can find in the catalog. And I mean, we are like crazy surprises like, and that in every countries where certain content just like generated so much engagement, and we're like, wow, we were not expecting that. We know our audience, but I think that's the beauty of that business, is that we see that sometimes like shows are resonating so well with this audience. We have like a crazy story in Germany with a show called Hausmeister Krause, which is like fascinating how good it performs. And we are the only place where the people can really watch it in Germany. And people knows that, the community start to talk about that on social. Hey, you want to rewatch that? Go on Pluto TV. And I think that's what we're trying to use, is build those communities, activate those audiences and those niche audiences to come and be active on Pluto TV.
Okay, so I'm a little mindful of time here, so we'll start looking ahead to the future. In terms of, it sounds like you're keeping a very nimble and adaptable approach to content, open to experimentation, which is very exciting. Is there anything new that you want to bring into the platform that you haven't necessarily tried yet, that you're looking for? Any particular types of content that if someone was listening and held on to it, they should definitely reach out?
You know what? I really like to, and I know the teams like to keep a really open mind about the content. And so, we're open to all kinds of things. I think at the end of the day, when you're thinking about a content strategy, people want to connect with something. I really believe that. I really believe at the end of the day, when they pick a show, they want to feel something. So whether it's thrilled or freaked out or joy or nostalgia. And so I think, when we're thinking about what to bring onto the service next, I think we need to really pay attention to those need states. There's some great data about that, that we did. And people want to feel connected, whether that's with news and live sports, or they want to feel comfort with something like comedy, or nostalgic for things like classic TV. And so, when I think about what might be next, I think I also look at it from, a perspective of making sure that we're just really well balanced. Do we have enough comedy? Have we, we've hit it out of the park on true crime? Lord knows everyone loves true crime, soup to nuts, everywhere, every market. But maybe we need to balance that with something else. And so that really factors into what we're looking for. I mean, yeah, look, live sports is having a terrific moment for us. We're definitely looking for that. I think locally relevant news content is important. I think movies are important, from a user generation perspective, but, like I said, we're very, very open as it relates to niche content, diverse content, things like that.
Yeah, I think the two things I would add is like diverse content is very important, because we speak with community. We launched recently like Pride TV, for example, to really like create a channel dedicated to the LGBTQ community. I think that's the kind of initiatives which are important for us. But I think the other thing is really finding the balance between global/US content and local content. Local content plays a really, really important role in every market. And I think that's been part of our DNA since the beginning. We didn't go in every market with, we go only with the US offering. We really started every market with strong local partners on our side. And that's been proven to be a real successful strategy. So, working more closely with the local partners is important. Building partnerships, as we did with Viaplay in the Nordics, or Chorus in Canada, or TV Azteca in Mexico, where we go deeper in the partnership, where partnering with a local champion and bring our expertise and global expertise in FAST create some win-win moments and win-win partnership. So I think that's really what we are focusing on, with the ultimate goal of bringing more and better entertainment to our users. And I think what is the good news, what I said at the beginning, is the market is growing so fast, the monetization is growing so fast, that the licensors are realizing, my God, there's a lot of money that I can do with FAST. And that means we start seeing really amazing content, which probably 2 years ago would have been unthinkable to be available for free. And that's, I think, only the beginning, and that's why we're so excited about running that business, and also seeing more competitors in the space, because that means the market will get bigger.
That's brilliant. So on the kind of technological side, looking ahead, when you talk about sort of some of the big things this industry will talk about, obviously one is FAST, but the other one is AI. Is there any areas within the platform that you've started to experiment with that and integrate things, or any plans? I know it's obviously AI can be an extremely broad question.
Yes, I think it's very broad, and yes, there are. I mean, I think it's an amazing opportunity as a streamer to use AI. There's different ways of using that, but I think there is I think two areas which obviously are important. One is really more about, I would call it, the content discoverability. When you're able to crunch more data with AI, and which helps you to serve in a better way the users. That's has been our core strategy at the beginning, or the vision was to solve the products of choice. And that's, I think, something what AI can help us within the platform. We have now a lot of content, in each platform, in each country. We have between 150 to 300 channels. We have thousands of content on demand, and I think that can really help the discoverability on the platform. The way you search, not changing completely, not the traditional search where you search what you per title, but you can say what the mood that you are, the weather can influence maybe the selection that you put in front of the user. So there's a lot of things which is all about crunching this data for a better discoverability. So I see there a really interesting use case. We are exploring with our tech team those kind of development. And the other thing is really, and it's maybe a little bit more boring, but it's about efficiency on the marketing, especially when it comes to assets creation. We are operating in 35 markets. We have a lot of creative team around the world, and with AI, we're able to speed up some of the processes, some of the assets creation, whether it's sometimes banners, in languaging and so on. I think that's something which is just generating more efficiency, freeing time for our marketing team to be more creative, and I think that's something which I see as an incredible development. We're at the beginning, but there are so many tools now that the teams can use on a daily basis, which are just facilitating their daily life. I don't know, Kat, if you want to add something.
No, I mean, I think you really covered it. And I think obviously, Paramount is working with, the community at large to make sure that, we're working with all the guilds and things like that, because we really think that it's a partnership with a creative community.
Excellent. So we're almost out of time here. So I guess my final question to both of you is: what are you most excited about for the business in the next year? Is it whether that be around FAST itself or specific plans that Pluto might have? What are you looking forward to?
You want to go first, Olivier?
I can go first. Well, I think the interesting thing, which I would say, is that I think what we call FAST is evolving, and we should talk about free streaming in general. I think the boundaries between FAST, AVOD, and so on are disappearing in a way. Like a product like Pluto is classified as FAST, but we start seeing an increasing consumption on demand. Even if our core business is still providing this ease of use and this lean back experience. So I think it's probably time to take a step back and say consider more the free streaming market instead of only talking about the FAST market. The conversion is already happening. We see that. We see more AVOD platforms launching FAST. We see FAST platforms strengthening their on-demand offering. So I think that's the first thing I would say is the market and the definition of the market is changing, probably because it's becoming more a mature market. And I think what I'm really excited is I think we're still scratching the surface of that business, and even if, Pluto, we've been celebrating our 10 years anniversary, we see from all the figures from the market forecast that it's the beginning of something bigger. And that is what make us really, us and me personally as well, really excited about running that business, is that I know that there is something way bigger to be done. We need to, re-challenge ourselves every day because there is new technology coming. There is new actors coming in the space. But when you know that the market is growing at the pace that it's growing, that just open a lot of shiny opportunities for that business and for that market.
Yeah, I mean, exactly what Olivier said. International is going to grow the fastest in this space. It's really exciting that we're just getting started and that there's it's like an open road ahead of us where we can really have a lot of fun, be creative, and really grow something. So that makes me feel really excited. But we've been around long enough now where we've got solid best practices. We've got the data. So, we can be super deliberate and focused about the choices that we're making. So it's sort of like we have all this opportunity and optimism about the future, and we can back it up with some really, important data that's going to help us make great decisions. So I'm really excited about that.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you both so much for joining me today. It's been really fascinating. I think we might have to have a sequel podcast at some point to talk a bit more about how FAST might evolve into free streaming as a whole. There's some interesting things to unpack there. But unfortunately, I'll have to let you go for now. So again, Kat, Olivier, thank you so much for joining us on Inside Content. It's been great to have you.
Thanks, Jack. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Thanks.
That was amazing. Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Inside Content, the TV industry podcast brought to you by 3Vision. With decades of TV industry experience and real-world success, we know the ins and outs of the market like nobody else. To learn more about our TV consultancy services, head to 3vision.tv.